Good morning, Republicans. I'm Blaine Ney, Chair of the Iron County Republican Party. Welcome you to the 2020 Iron County, Utah Republican Party Nominating Convention. I'm sure, like the rest of you, I wish we were doing this in person. It would be a lot easier. And I'm going to miss the fellowship that we usually enjoy in a standard convention. We're doing this online, as you know. Technology that's new to a lot of us. So we appreciate your patience as we work through this. On your screen, you'll see a function, you'll find it either hovering your mouse over the bottom of your screen or the top. You'll see a function there for Q&A or chat. If you need to communicate with us, that's how you would do it. And the secretary's watching that. He'll let me know if there are any comments, input that you make to us. With that, we'll begin with a prayer from Bracken Longhurst, our Vice Chair. After that, the pledge by our Treasurer, Casey Anderson.
Our dear Father in heaven, we come before thee at this time, grateful to gather together electronically and be able to hold this convention. We are grateful for the technology that makes this available and for the opportunities that we have in this great country to live and to exercise our freedoms. We ask a blessing be upon us this day, that we will have strength as a party, that we will be able to conduct the business that we need to, and we pray that that would give us inspiration and guidance as we make important decisions as to candidates and other matters. We're grateful for those who are running, and we pray that they will have a spirit of calm and peace and be able to do their best in presenting the issues that they care about. And we pray for the leaders of the countries and states and local communities around the world. We ask that they will make decisions that are guided by thy Spirit, that will bless us as thy children. We especially pray for the economy to return to normal, and all those who might be affected, that they will be able to recover fully, and that we'll be able to get back to work and be able to move to a situation that resembles the normalcy that we enjoy. We are grateful again for all that thou hast done for us, and pray that thou would guide us in all things. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Each of you should have received a copy of the agenda. If I would welcome a motion from someone in the online to move to adopt the agenda. If you want to make that motion, please do that in the chat, and our secretary will recognize you. Terrence Keys has moved to adopt the agenda. Do I have a second by the same manner?
Yes, Deborah Terry.
Deborah Terry has seconded the motion. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda. Richard will pop up a little question and answer for you, so please mark yes or no, and we'll vote on the agenda. And 95 in favor. Of those opposed? 0 opposed. So the agenda is adopted. We'll now hear a financial report from our treasurer, Casey Anderson. Following his report, he will present the amendment that was noticed in your agenda, an amendment to the Constitution.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Iron County Republicans. It's my honor to serve as the county party treasurer, and the financial report for the nominating convention of 2020 is as follows. The three largest expenditures that we have as a county party, the first one is locations for the Lincoln Day dinner and for past conventions. The second largest expenditure that we have as a county party is printing of literature and ballots for conventions and also the Lincoln Day dinner. And the third largest expenditure goes to support candidates who are in contested races here in Iron County. These three expenditure items account for over 95% of the funds that are used. Another area is travel to state central committee meetings by our 4 state central committee members. The current bank account and financial report that I submit to the state was completed on April 8th of this year. That's the pre-convention report. The next financial report that I'm required to submit to the state is prior to the primary elections. That is the conclusion of the financial report. If you have any additional questions or would like specific information, you can go to disclosures.utah.gov and you can find specific expenditure items and contributions that we've received as a party. I'll now go into the constitutional amendment. This amendment was voted on and passed by the County Central Committee a few months ago. The purpose of the amendment is because there was some ambiguity with regards to the rules of the membership of the County Central Committee. In the past, we've always had our state elected officials, our state member of the House of Representatives and our state senator, serve on the County Central Committee. But in reviewing that, we felt like there was some ambiguity because the current constitution states that members of that committee are elected Iron County officials. And we felt that was slightly ambiguous simply because Iron County officials would traditionally mean county elected Iron County officials such as the county commissioners, county treasurer, county auditor. We've always included our state representatives, and we feel like it's appropriate to add this constitutional amendment to prevent any ambiguous reading of that membership of that body. So we simply added a line that states elected state officials that reside in Iron County are also members of that body. Mr. Chair, that's the conclusion of my summary of the constitutional amendment.
This amendment requires a vote in both the County Central Committee meeting and in this convention, in a convention of the county. In one body, it has to receive at least 2/3 of the vote, and it did in January the 18th at the County Central Committee meeting. At the other body, it needs to receive 50% or more. And so that would be this body. We need to have at least 50% approve this amendment. So if adopted, Article 4, Paragraph B of the Iron County Utah Republican Party Constitution would read, the voting members of the County Central Committee shall consist of the county party chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer, the at-large state central committee members, the chair, the vice chair of each voting precinct elected at the most recent caucuses. And this is where we're adding this phrase, elected state legislators living in Iron County who are registered Republicans. So that's the phrase we're adding, and elected Iron County officials who are registered Republicans. So we're just adding that phrase, elected state legislators living in Iron County who are registered Republicans. Is there any discussion? Let us know in the chat. Yeah, it looks like there's no discussion. Is there a motion to adopt this amendment? Please let us know in the chat. Do I have a name?
Alex Myers, Harrison East.
Terrence Keys has moved to adopt this amendment. Do I have a second? Matthew Toppin has seconded the amendment. So we have a motion and second to include the phrase elected state legislators living in Iron County who are registered Republicans as members of the Iron County Central Committee. We'll vote on that this afternoon. It'll be on one of the ballots that you'll receive this afternoon. The next on the agenda will be addressing uncontested Republicans running for office. We have three incumbents that are running for re-election. For State House seat 72, we have Rex Ship running for re-election. He's unopposed. County Treasurer Nicole Rosenberg is running unopposed, and County Recorder Carrie Jeffries running unopposed. Without objection, these three candidates are declared our Republican nominees for 2020 by acclamation. We have two county races to be considered today with opposition. We will hear a 6-minute speech from each of these in this order. For County Commission, Cindy Bullock and Marilyn Wood. Following them, we'll hear from County Assessor candidates Rex Dungan and Karsten Reed, 6 minutes each.
Good morning. I am Cindy Bullock and I am running for Iron County Commission. This is kind of weird actually to look out at this almost empty auditorium and looking at this little camera, instead of being able to meet with you face to face. We would have normally had some time before to interact and get to meet, and I hope we never have to do it this way again. I appreciate the Republican Party for setting this up and allowing us to have a Zoom meeting, but I hope this is the one and only time we have to do this. So what do you need as a leader of Iron County? I think you need a strong leader who is a champion of the past, who will protect us now, and who will plan for the future. So what does that mean, a champion of the past? Well, I come from good stock, and we have a great legacy in southern Utah. My great-grandfather, H.B. Robinson, ran sheep in the Perwin Valley and in what they call Sandy. And Jeff's family, the Bullocks, were some of the first families or first people to homestead in this area. In fact, they donated some land to SUU, where actually I am today. Part of that was donated by the Bullocks so that we could have a university here. So because of that, that's part of the reason I'm here, is honoring that legacy of hard work and giving back to the community. In addition, we need to protect us now. What does that mean? Well, we're in the middle of this COVID crisis, so we need to protect physically, but we also need to protect, philosophically. We need to protect our lands. We run cattle out on the West Desert, so we need to protect them for agriculture. I'm also a runner and a hiker. We need to make sure that we are able to get up in those public lands and hike and use them for multiple things. That's why it's multiple use. We need to make sure that those are open. Our roads are available, that everyone can get there. In addition to the topography and the land we need to protect our people. Iron County is great, and I love the Red Hills, I love the West Desert, but mostly I love the people of Iron County. We have great families, neighborhoods, and we also have great employees that work for Iron County. We need to protect those people. We need to also plan for the future. Iron County is growing. Whether we want to believe it or not, it's growing, and we need to plan for that. We need to plan the infrastructure. When I go to St. George to watch my grandkids play soccer, I can get literally from Washington County to Perwin quicker than I can get from Bloomington to Washington. We've got to make sure that that does not happen in Iron County. We've got to plan for infrastructure, roads, water, all kinds of infrastructure. And how do we do that when we plan for the future? We need to have good policy. I studied agribusiness with a policy emphasis. Now, how weird is that anyone would like policy? But I believe in good policy. The best policy that we have in this nation is our Constitution. That Constitution was divinely inspired. And because of that, we're able to adapt as we grow because of the policy. Same thing, I'm also a runner. If you've ever done distance running, run a marathon, you have to plan and you have a schedule every week, what you have to do. Same thing with the county. Now, we didn't expect to have this COVID crisis, but we've got a plan. If you don't have a good plan, you will never reach your goal. So we've got to make sure that we have county planning, a solid plan that's going to, so we know what we want the county to look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 50 years. And in closing, I just want to say that I don't put your trust in me lightly. I have served as your Iron County assessor for almost 10 years. I have served in a county-wide race, and I have had a great experience. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting to meet many of you and having you in my office, or actually been on many of your property in that role. And I'm ready to take a different role, a little bit bigger role, a broader perspective, and I would appreciate your support and I appreciate your vote. Cindy Bullock for Iron County Commission. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marilyn Wood, and I'm running to represent you as your next Iron County Commissioner. I hope you and your family are doing well in these challenging times. I truly appreciate your willingness to serve as a county delegate. As a Main Street business owner and rancher and lifetime resident of Iron County, I love our heritage, our way of life, freedoms that have made life in Iron County great. I plan to keep Iron County great by ensuring our laws enable all residents to live the principles of our free enterprise, private initiative, and volunteerism. In Iron County, that means fighting for the things that we want our county to fight for, like water, property rights, protecting our constitutional right of life, liberty, and firearms. Most of what a commissioner does is make land use decisions for our county residents. As ranchers, my husband Matt and I are well aware of the importance of land use. When so much of our economy depends on the land for agriculture, housing, and commerce, I will protect our county from the largest landholder, the federal government. It remains the sacred responsibility of the state to keep federal powers within its limits of the Constitution. And we see the federal government constantly pushing those limits to where we can't use our own backyard. When we can't use our own backyard, it's like roping a bull with a hay string on a three-legged horse. Iron County needs to plan for the future when it comes to water. While we can accomplish much through recharge and conservation efforts, we also need to import and develop new water resources. Many of those developments could require tax funds or user fees. I understand the necessity for limited taxation in order for the government to perform those essential services such as water. However, I also understand that the power to tax is the power to control, and believe that the best way to control government is to strictly control the amount of taxes that we impose on our people. I will work hard to find more ways to simplify our tax system. Having been involved in the meat industry for 40 years and owning a Cedar City Main Street business, I know that government regulations can sometimes be a major impediment to productivity and competition. We must rely more on input from our private sector. I believe that a strong, diversified economy based on positive work ethics and business-friendly environment will help Iron County compete in the world marketplace. I will demand honesty, integrity, morality, and accountability of those who serve in our county. I know many of the county employees personally and appreciate their hard work. I also look forward to working with them in the coming days. I believe it wise to retain and empower our great county employees that keep the county safe and organized. I am an avid firearm enthusiast and collector. I strongly support the individual, constitutionally protected right of the people to keep and bear arms for security and defense of self, family, others, property, or the state. I will work to protect the right from federal, state, and local actors. As a rancher, I know and love our agriculture heritage and will fight for your right to use and improve your land where you live. As a business owner, I will fight for your right to open, operate, and expand your business. As a Republican woman who loves our Utah Party platform, I will fight to remind our elected leaders, public servants, and all others that the function of government is not to grant rights, but to protect our inalienable, God-given rights of life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm conservative, I'm a seasoned optimist, and I believe that by working together, we can make Iron County great. I'm Marilyn Wood, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Good morning, delegates. I'm Rex Dungan, and I am running for Iron County Assessor. I have to assume at this point a lot of you have received my emails that I've been sending for a couple of months now, and I've mailed out some packages, and I think you guys are familiar with my talking points and some of the history that I've had as far as my career. So I'm going to take it in a little bit different direction today and try and see if I can share with you a little bit about my personal past and how I got to where I'm at today. I went to Billings Senior High School in Billings, Montana, and I went to Montana State University. But it wasn't until I went to the United States Marine Corps that I actually really got an education. I did 6 years in the Marines, and I joined the Marines because my dad had been a Marine during the Korean War. My brother and I both served in the Marines at the same time, and I have an older son who served in the Marines a month after the 9/11 incident. But in the Marines, I would learn certain traits that would shape and develop my character for the rest of my life. Things such as team building and trust, being dependable and reliable. And these characteristics are things that I would take with me into my career as an appraiser, real estate broker, and in banking for the next 30 plus years. And through that career, to a point 30 plus years later, I would find myself interviewing for a chief appraiser position with a couple of different banks in the country. And most of them that I interviewed with already had appraisal arms or divisions. And they were looking for someone to manage their appraisal departments and ensure compliance with state and federal regulators. But there was one bank in particular, Pacific Bank. Pacific Bank Corp was owned by Royal Pacific, and they didn't have a division yet. They wanted me to come in and build it. And that was the most intriguing to me. So when I went to work for them, I spent 5 years, and there were only 2 of us when we started. 5 years later, we had 167 appraisers through 4 different states. We did $35 million in our first month, and we did $1.4 billion in my final year with them. So we were hugely successful. The president of the bank, his name was Sam, decided he was going to retire. And in that world, when presidents go, they generally have a new president comes in and he brings his own team, which this new president did. And a lot of us in upper management were released, but it wasn't a bad thing. Our youngest was a senior in high school, a couple of months from graduating, and they had been in private Christian schools all their lives. And we wanted them to go to a college where, you know, their faith would be revered and not criticized. So SUU was the perfect place. Plus, we had had a home in Panguitch for the past 15 plus years. So I found that the assessor's office was interviewing, and I came up and interviewed with the assessor's office. And as I left that office and I got on the 15 coming out of Parowan, I got a phone call from Pacific Bank telling me that we'd done a fantastic job and would like for me to come back. My wife and I had realized that we had decided to go a different path and we were moving forward with our lives, and I told them no and thank you. A couple of days later, we found a house that we wanted and we purchased it in Cedar and we closed on it. And about a month later, we loaded the truck, the big Ryder truck, a family of 10, including grandma, and about 8 cars. And we looked like the Beverly Hillbillies rolling into Lay Hill, no doubt. I pulled up that truck in front of the house, and just as I went to turn off that big diesel engine because it was loud, I turned it off and my phone was ringing. It had been more than a month. I answered it, and it was Cindy Bullock with the assessor's office, and she said, "Hey, Rex, we talked a while back. In your interview, we can't pay you a lot of money, but we'd like to offer you the job." And I said, thank you. I appreciate it. And I accepted that offer. It's at that point that you start to realize, you know, God's plan is pretty simple. When you give a little faith, or you have a little faith in God, he pours his faith back out on you abundantly. And I've been working for the assessor's office ever since. So moving forward, you know, I'm running for the office now, and I've never run for office before. I'm not a politician. And I know a lot of candidates put on their Facebook pages their supporters and their endorsements, and they have a lot of friends from work and from church and different places, and I applaud it. I think it's fantastic. I have supporters and endorsements, but I decided to put a different kind of list in front of you. And my list is one that represents credentials and experience and work history, education and ethics. And I hope that that resonates with you in helping you establish my qualification and disposition for running this office moving forward. And I'd like to close by saying it. I'm asking for your vote, and I'm not asking for your vote just because I want the job. I'm asking for your vote because this is my job. Thank you, and I'm Rex Dungan for Iron County Assessor.
My name is Carson Reed, a candidate for Iron County Assessor. And I love this country and I love Iron County. I'm a husband to Christine McKibben and father of 5 children. My story begins with my pioneer ancestors crossing the plains with the Saints and settling in southern Utah. My great-grandparents moved to Cedar City from Beaver County after World War I, where my great-grandfather worked in the iron mines, and my great-grandmother was the cook at the old hospital. My father graduated from BYU with a degree in chemical engineering in the 1970s. And due to economic conditions at the time, the jobs available to him after graduation were outside the United States. He ended up taking a job with an American oil company, and they moved us across the world to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, far away from the dairy farm my mother was raised on, and a world away from Southwest Utah. Having not traveled much, my parents had no idea what was in store for them. At the time, Saudi Arabia was a closed country similar to what North Korea is today. The first thing the local government there did was take away our passports. We lived in a small town on the Red Sea coast, and in order to leave the town, the local government had to issue us special travel documents, which we had to present at police checkpoints. Everything there was restricted. No freedom of press, no freedom of religion, no freedom of speech, and in short, no freedom. I feel a profound gratitude to be able to live in this great country. I feel incredibly fortunate to live in Iron County. I am thankful to live in a nation with an inspired constitution. I honor men like my brother and like Rex, who have served this country in the armed forces. I am running because I believe in our system of government. I understand the proper role of government and recognize that the role of government is not to grant rights, but to protect our rights. I am running because as a licensed appraiser in Utah, having worked in this county for nearly 20 years, I have the geographic competency and local knowledge to best benefit the taxpayers. What sets me apart is my depth of experience in Iron County. I've completed nearly 10,000 appraisal reports, from Burrell to Newcastle to Cedar City, Enoch, Parowan, Paraguna, Bryan Head, and all over Cedar Mountain. The expertise I have gained from nearly 2 decades of experience in Iron County is the reason I am endorsed or supported by many real estate agents and local appraisers, including Brad Schmutz, Chris Dolan, Steve McKibben, Lyman Munford, Chris Isom, Jason Bushnell, Ryan Judd, and Cindy Ashdown. These local appraisers understand the value I can bring to the assessor's office and the knowledge base I have of the Iron County market. They know me personally and professionally, having reviewed my work for many years. We are at a seminal time in our history. Our lives have all been affected by the coronavirus. The future of Iron County values is sure to see considerable change that will be brought because of this event. I want to unequivocally state that as values change and as the market changes, you will have a forward-thinking and acting leader in the assessor's office if I'm elected. I pledge to be proactive and thoughtful when dealing with your homes, your businesses, your properties, and your values. I understand technology. I have been an early adopter of technology in both my real estate brokerage and appraisal business. Understanding technology and knowing how to implement it has saved my businesses considerable amounts of money, and my knowledge and experience in this area will be an asset to taxpayers. What you can expect from me is someone who is a leader, a thoughtful and knowledgeable assessor that knows the real estate market and values, someone who is fair, who will listen to your concerns, and someone who isn't afraid to admit when they are wrong. Ultimately, I am someone who treats your tax dollars with complete fiscal responsibility. My mission in life is to serve my fellow man where and when I can. I have done that in professional and personal capacities, and I hope to do it as an elected public servant. The previous elected assessor, Dennis Ayers, and Deputy Assessor Jeff Mitchell both endorsed me because they know I am technically competent and recognize that having an assessor who understands the local market, who knows your neighborhoods, your subdivisions, your farms and land, is a significant benefit to the taxpayer. When it becomes necessary to contest your assessment, you can be sure that you have an understanding advocate in me. I believe in and embody equity and fairness. Those two principles are the bedrock of trust in the assessor's office. I will be your advocate. I pledge to be a fair and reasonable voice for you. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
We'd like to thank these candidates for being willing to run for public office. It's I know just running for office within the party, know how stressful it is and what it feels like to have the fear of losing an election. So I really appreciate the courage that these people have to stand up and be willing to represent us. Balloting will be conducted in the south parking lot at Canyon View High School. That's at 166 West, 1925 North in Cedar City. We'll begin at noon, go until 3 p.m. We'd like you to bring your own pens so that you don't have to use the contaminated pens that we have. When you arrive there, you'll line up behind the cars that are ahead of you. Remain in your car so that we don't have any spread of disease. Stay in your car. When it's your turn, we'll ask you to see your photo ID, and we'll check you on the list. You'll get to sign the roster. So that'll be our credentialing process. We'll hand you 3 ballots. You'll move forward, mark your ballots, and then put your ballots in a locked ballot box. Once you've voted, you're done with the convention. We'll post the election results on the party website at ironcountygop.org late this afternoon. We'd like to thank SUU and President Scott Wyatt for the use of their facilities for this broadcast. This convention is now in recess. We'll resume at 1 o'clock at Canyon View High School. 12 o'clock at noon at Canyon View High School. And the convention will adjourn at 3 p.m. after voting is complete. Thank you for your participation.